Good evening. This is Let's Play Salesforce, and I am Pete Lyons. And before we get into our summer spoilers, a little tradition that appears may have been broken. For the last 3 years prior to this one, I was always able to get a shot of it snowing in April here in Buffalo as we talk about the summer release, but not this year. What the? Okay, yeah, fine. I guess it's always snowing in Buffalo. That's what you think. That's apparently the truth. So yes, we are going to be diving into summer release highlights for Tableau CRM, which also is now officially CRMA or CRM Analytics. API name of Wave in my heart. I don't care what you call it. I'm just here to build. So if you have any thoughts on the rebranding, feel free to put them in the comments, but that's probably all we're going to talk about. So now, with no further ado, let's jump in and check out our spoilers. Let's take a quick peek at the new release icon here. So I wanted to take a look and see if there was anything new for embedding, but after sitting here and staring at this load spinner for a really, really long time, I was convinced that there was a bug, and I just went to the Lightning app builder. Long story short, no new updates there, but we can talk about this load spinner as long as we want, and it's not going away. Fortunately, that is a bug with core and out of scope for TCRM, so I'm over it. Next up, let's take a look at our settings. So first, I noticed that we now have this auto-installed apps, or we've always had auto-installed apps, or we have for a few releases here, but we now have an app install history. So when people go spamming that YOLO button and, crapping out all million different copies of Sales Analytics, you'll be able to figure out who and when and what and all that kind of stuff. We now have a new feature that says enable an output connection, Data Lake Gen 2 output connection. This is specifically for Azure Data Lake Gen 2. What's the difference between Data Lake Gen 1, and which was probably just called Azure Data Lake, and Gen 2? Couldn't tell you. Don't know. Not my bag. But we can write to it, and that's pretty cool. Next thing I noticed, we have a button for a unified analytics home. I have not yet turned this on. We're going to be doing that live together, and for you, it'll be live recorded, but for me, it'll be a first time through. Post-production Pete here. So a couple of snafus happened. First, I totally forgot to do this part in the original run through of the recording. And so I went and I got everything set back up and I started recording and I clicked the button and I was super excited. And then I realized that this org is so old, it actually predates the analytics tab. So I have no way of demonstrating this feature to you at this time. But basically, it's going to allow you from your analytics tab that embeds Analytics Studio directly into core Salesforce. You will also be able to navigate to reports and dashboards for, as the feature would describe, a more unified experience. So sorry I can't show it to you, but it's probably pretty straightforward and I think you're going to like it. Anyway, back to pre-production Pete, who's got other updates to share. Next, all the way down at the bottom, where did my trend settings go? I seem to recall having all kinds of set my limits around how many rows I can pull in, how long it persists after the user's gone, stuff like that. Is my GSO environment broken, or are these features now deprecated? I could not, absolutely could not tell you. Next, we have enable 0-day scoring on Bring Your Own Model. What does that do? It enables 0-day scoring on Bring Your Own Model. For more information on this, please see the handy tooltip that tells us it lets you run 0-day scoring on user uploaded models. Not really sure. Pretty sure right now, Bring Your Own Model is limited to a very specific version of TensorFlow. I did check in the model manager, which is where you go to do that. There's like a fancy upload button in the top right. Didn't really see a whole lot of difference there. I've yet to do anything with Bring Your Own Model. So the next one, and I am going to actually blur this for sensitive audiences. We have allowed data flow creation from Data Manager Legacy, but it's this tooltip right here. So avert your eyes if you're easily triggered, but I'm going to take the blur away now. Now, according to this, as data flows are migrated to recipes, you can temporarily create and manage data flows through the data manager. Data flows will be retired in winter 23. Now, we have to step back for a moment. I don't usually put up safe harbor slides, and I'm not going to make an exception to that right now, but just remember, this is commentary and not documentation. So anything that I say about this is not official until Salesforce has something to say about it. But I have it under good authority that that tooltip is not 100% accurate. I believe, and again, subject to confirmation, what they're actually going to be doing is saying for net new customers, they're not going to be able to make new data flows. I don't know if that's effective starting winter 23 or effective winter 23. You'll have to have the checkbox checked. Not really sure. End of life for data flows is a thing, but it will not be happening in 6 months. And I am going to try to get someone from the product team on the channel in the next couple of weeks here for two reasons. One, we want to talk about all the awesome stuff that we are seeing in recipes. And two, I'd like to get a little bit more clarity on what the end of life plan is. And obviously, again, I am not, I don't work for Salesforce. So don't take my word for it. Don't take this tooltip as gospel truth. Until you hear it from them, it's not a thing. But that said, they certainly have made it a little bit more tricky to get to data flow. So first, you're actually going to need this allow data flow creation from the data manager. Then you're going to need to go to Analytics Studio. The legacy data manager is no longer here. We just have data manager. So now we're over here in our data manager data, which we will be covering in just a minute. From here, we're going to click on open legacy data manager. Oh, there's the data manager I know and love. And then I go to my data flows and recipes tab, except by default, I'm on the recipes tab. Nobody wants to see your silly little data flows, Mr. Developer. So yeah, they're definitely strongly suggesting that maybe we should be focusing on recipes. And truth told, I actually have been doing a lot more with recipes than I historically have been. Safe harbor here, I might be putting out some content on it. I am not going to give any kind of timelines as to when I will be putting out content on recipes or what content I will be putting out there, just that I will be putting out content on recipes eventually. It's a whole lot easier to not make or to not break promises that you don't make. So probably something sooner or later, but we're not quite there yet. So we're going to hop over into Analytics Studio for a minute, and then we're going to come back to there. And I noticed an update with collections. We now have the ability to subscribe to them. What is that like? We are not going to find out in this video, because you might remember about a year ago, when I actually did set up a subscription in this environment, I said I was probably going to regret it. And the truth is I have still not unscheduled it. And I get an email every week at Saturday at 1 a.m. showing me just this. That has never changed. So hey, by the way, subscribe. Did you know like 20% of my viewers are actually subscribed? And I hear other YouTubers say that kind of stuff, and I'm always like, oh, that's so cheesy. But by the way, if you haven't hit that button, go ahead and hit that button. I don't monetize. I get nothing out of it except the joy of seeing that I have subscribers. So you're not paying into a bigger machine or anything like that. It's just a button. Make me feel better. It's really all it does. So then I also did dig into the dashboard editor, and I did not find squat. We got a massive update last release for tables. I feel like there's a decent amount of bug fixes that probably went in there. I have not really gone through and tried to reproduce all the bugs that I was able to still see in the spring 22 release. So my guess is, from a dashboarding perspective, that's probably where they threw their weight. I did notice on repeater widgets, much better behavior around cell padding and when you do and don't see scroll bars. So again, it looks like a lot of bug fixes, a lot of cleanup has been going on, but I did not see anything substantial net new from a dashboarding or widget perspective. So now hopping back over to that data manager, a couple of differences I want to showcase. So first, looking in a Spring 22 org right here, notice that we've got the old connections beta, which is no longer there. And these settings are all just kind of moved up and together and in a slightly, no, that's our old guy, slightly smaller font, I think. And we now have resolved what I thought was kind of a glaring omission, in that we now have a button to get us to Analytics Studio. And so, and then we got this guy. Nobody cares about data flows. That guy's hanging out down there. Eventually, I won't care about data flows. Today, I still do. So there wasn't really a whole lot that I was seeing that got changed around in here, except we did see some updates on our connectors. And specifically, this is what the old connectors looked like. The icons were, or the tiles were a little bit bigger, and we did see places where we had font overrun. We also had some placeholder icons, and someone seems to have almost lost a seal Perhaps that is a baby seal that is all white in a snowstorm and we can barely see its outline. Maybe that's what's going on here, but we do also have some text overflow there, and some other placeholder icons. And that's kind of like the main difference that I'm noticing is that the icons are cleaned up. This is just really, really crispy. And I don't even have that monitor in 4K right now. This is just running at 1080. But we see that text overrun issue has been resolved. And unlike Buffalo, wherever this poor little seal is, does seem to have stopped snowing. So doesn't look like there's any new input or input connectors. And there is that new Azure output connector that we did see. So it looks like that's what we're getting for this go around. Oh, you are going to get a real kick out of this, or at least I hope you do, because I got a real kick out of this. No, I don't want a new app. Why would I want a new app? I want a new recipe. All right, so I need some input data. I'm just going to grab any old rando data set. It's not going to make much of a difference which one I use. So come on, check the box. There we go. So if I add a if I add a transformation right here, and then I want to add a custom formula to that, let's scroll down just a little bit. I certainly don't remember seeing any of these guys last release. That's right. We have 5, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's multiple values of multi-value functions. Now, for me, I really got to stop and just say how impressed I am with the robustness of this. They could have, at a minimum, if you give me the ability to turn a string into an array and the ability to turn an array into a string, I can do all this other stuff on my own. But do you know what a pain it would be? So first, obviously, split turns an array back into a string. Array join turns that string into an array. But for bonus points, the array function allows us to take a collection of fields and create an array instead of having to first create that collection of fields as a delimited string and then convert that string into an array. Additionally, how about size? This gives you the number of members in an array. The way that I would do that is if I had that array in the form of a string, I would replace my delimiter with a null character, and then I would compare the length of that output to the length of the original, and then add 1 to it, and it would tell me my size. But I don't have to do that. I can just hit the size button and give it my multi-value field. Isn't that so much easier? Or array contains. Well, you might say, I could just do matches on the string, but that has a flaw to it. And the headache that you have to go through to really get from matches to contains, that's a big deal for me. So this is awesome. They could have given us 2 features and delivered on what, frankly, we don't have in dataflows today without doing some crazy unsupported stuff. Check out my video on the amazing power of the multi-value field. And once we get it to a multi-value field, we can't turn it back the other way. This is just mind-blowing. I can't say enough good things, not just that we have it in the first place, but that we have it to this extreme degree of robustness, and that we got it in only 1 release. I would chalk at least a little bit up to that, a little bit of that up to the fact that now they just have to whitelist Spark functions. The process to get new functions in is a little bit easier. So maybe that helped play into it, but I don't need to come up with any reasons not to just tell the product team, like, awesome job. This is great. So again, I just want to wrap up by saying I am using recipes more. I would definitely recommend, if you are starting out, don't waste your time with data flows. They will go away. Now, if you are just starting out and you're working in an org that already has data flows, forget what I just said, because you're still going to need to understand them for a while. There's a converter tool that's currently, I believe, in beta. Maybe it's going GA this release. I'm not positive. Again, that's something I'm hoping that the product team can come out and show us more about. We are looking to dig into that a little bit more, but you are always going to be benefited by staying ahead of the curve. Work with the latest and greatest, be up to speed on that. So again, data flows, they're awesome today, but this product right here, recipes, that's the future. That's where you should stay focused. So there's also a bunch of new templates and updates to existing templates that I'm under the impression are ongoing. I'm working on trying to potentially schedule a video to cover those. I've got time already slotted in. We're gonna have Bobby back again, and like I said, hopefully more on recipes in general and some of the different transforms that we're seeing coming out of that, as well as what that life cycle plan is. But that is all that we have for tonight. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, tell a friend, hit me up on LinkedIn for stubborn determination, and thanks for watching.